Hello, you reach Manesh Patel from the EIA Capital Group. Today is December 26, 2011. This is our last video for 2011 for the global markets, where we'll cover everything from North America to Europe to Asia. Okay, this normal disclaimer: this is for education use only. All charts you're going to see are from Thinkorswim, from TD Ameritrade, TradeStation, or FreeStockCharts.com. Here are my contact details here, Patel at eiicapital.com. You can follow us at Twitter at Ichimoku Trading, or you could access any of our free resources at ichimokutrade.com. Okay, now let's go and begin with Europe, which has been a big mess and been causing a lot of problems. So let's just start over there. Let's start looking at Frankfurt market. Let me shrink this down some more so you can see it. If you look at the Frankfurt market, you're really not doing anything right now. We had a downward push movement here. We pulled back and kind of just consolidating here. Nothing really going on at all. The key thing is what's going to happen now. If you look at basically the resistance levels are going to be basically 62.48. Remember, these are weekly time frames too. Okay, so these are long-term pictures. 62.48, and then you could see the support levels that we outlined. Minor is going to be around 5,500, but the major one's going to be 5,000. So we kind of had a push downward, consolidating. This trend is still intact to the downside until we could break the 6,500 level on the Frankfurt market. Okay, if you look at the Paris market, you could see between the two, this one kind of had it's been consolidating for a lot longer than the German market. Really nothing going on here, and you could see from here basically the resistance level is going to be 33.57, which is right here. Okay, so let's just put that there right here. It's roughly going to be right around here at this level here. So close to about 3,500 is basically the resistance level there. But we're just basically consolidated between there and this level right here, which is basically around, well, let's just even put it here at 27.82. So really nothing going on as far as the Paris market's concerned. Had a little upward movement last week, but we're basically at a minor resistance level there on the Paris market, and you could see we're at a minor resistance level also in the German market. Okay, so nothing really going on. They both still are very bearish, but we're just consolidating right now and not follow through on the trend, but the trend is still intact, so be very careful. Okay, London market, basically we're in the cloud, so this is the stronger of all of them. This looks very good here. The key thing here is that if the London market can sit there and get back to 58.60 and break that and start getting above the cloud where the sentiment changes to bullish, then this has a very strong candidate of coming out of everything out of Europe more than Paris and France. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens in the next couple of weeks. But you can see this big downward movement. We kind of almost retraced the majority of it over here, or at least 50% of it at one point, and we're kind of holding. So this is probably stronger of Frankfurt and the Paris market right now. Okay, so let's go over to Israel. If you look at, these are the ETFs for Israel from iShares. If you look at the ETF, we're basically downward trend. We're at a major support level right now. If we break this 40-20 level, sorry, this level here, around about, I would say 38.90, then we're going to sit there and continue to go down, but this is oversold, so I'll be very careful in trying to go selling on this one. Turkish market is basically still bearish trending too. We're at a minor support level there, but the major one's going to be basically right here. So this has a potential on this ETF to go down all the way to 37.89, and it looks like it's trying to get there. So be very careful there if you're trying to go bullish on the Turkey market. Let's see, there's one down here. Stockholm. Let's go look at Stockholm down here. If you look at Stockholm here, it's basically started a bearish trend and then just decided to consolidate for the longest time. Resistance level is going to be basically 1,000, so nothing really going on there either. So just got to wait and see exactly what's going to happen there. Let's go to Russia real fast. Russia, if you look at it, downward trend here, consolidating here. This thing, if it is in a bearish trend, but consolidating, the support level is basically going to, sorry, resistance level is going to be 24, and support level is going to be 18. If this thing breaks 18, this thing's going to go a lot lower. So watch out for that as far as Russia's concerned. South Africa, if you look at it, it's just consolidating. It kind of consolidated to a point where it's now bearish. But it's still consolidating, really no movement at all in this one. So there's nothing really to even talk about South Africa. Doesn't even look like it got affected that much with Europe. So it's kind of just hanging around and really not doing anything at all. Let's go over to Asia. Let's go to Shanghai. And if you look at the Chinese market, look at this level that we had drawn. Okay, a while back ago, it was at 23.11. It broke that level. It's starting a trend downwards, and this thing does have potential to keep on going down a lot more. And let's see how far this thing could go. There's that one level, and then this thing has a potential of coming all the way down to here. So around 2100, 2000 level, this thing has a potential coming all the way down to. So definitely be very careful on this one, where China markets does have a potential of going all the way down to 2100 to 2000 level. If you're short, then stay in it and keep your stops tight. But if you're not short, I probably wouldn't get in it. It's still too late now. But be patient and wait for some pullbacks to go forward. Okay. Hong Kong market looks stronger. If you look here, started a bearish trend here. The bearish trend is still intact, kind of just consolidating here right around to minor resistance levels. The key resistance level on this guy is going to be around 19,050, and resistance support level is going to be around 17,000. Okay, Nikkei. Nikkei market is bearish trending, trying to go right back to this 8250 level, which is a major support level. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens once it gets there. If you look at basically the resistance level on the weekly time frame, 91.71 is the resistance level. The Bombay market, you could see, kind of sat there and penetrated this line that we had drawn here at 15,500, went a little below it. Still yet to get to 15,000 even, but it looks like it's trying to get there in this journey to begin there. Now remember, January and February are the worst months typically for the Indian market, so this thing has a potential coming all the way down to 14,500, and I'll definitely look for that moving forward. Okay, a Sydney market. It's already the bearish trend. We're kind of just consolidating right now, right around a resistance level, and really nothing going on at all. But the resistance level is 42.73, and if it sits there and breaks this level here, which is about 4,000, then we can start a trend down. But this thing looks like it's just going to consolidate for the longest time and not really make any commitments to do anything at all. Let's go over to Americas. Let's go to Mexico first. If you go to Mexico, look at the ETF. This thing is strong. A little more push to the upside, and it gets closer to 38,000. This thing can start a trend to the bullish side. So this is kind of strong, which is interesting to see for Mexico side. But Mexico is a very strong market right now moving forward. Okay. Let's actually go to TSX, which is Canada. If you look at Canada, we've outlined everything here. We're kind of consolidating. Nothing really going on. Resistance level is going to be basically 12,182, and support level is going to be around 11,000, about 500. So we're kind of still at the support level here, but this thing's just consolidating. The more it consolidates, remember, the more the bearish trend is kind of weakening with time. So that's not good for the bearish side. Let's go down to Colombia. Okay, Colombia here, if you look at it, was starting a bearish trend here, kind of doing a pullback right now. If you look at the resistance level, basically is 1910 is the resistance level, and 1680 is basically support level for this ETF here. Okay, and then Brazil. Let's go down and look at Brazil. Look at this bearish movement here, kind of pulled back up and kind of holding here. 60,000 basically going to be its resistance level right there. but we're kind of sitting on a minor support level of 5,500, 55,000. If it could break 55,000 again, this thing's going to go lower. But as more this thing consolidates, the more the bearish trend is weakening, and the more this is going to enter a consolidation pattern, which eventually could take into a basically a bullish movement. But we'll have to see what with time. One country we forgot to cover is Korea, and really nothing going on in Korea. It's just consolidating. 1900 is basically a resistance level on this one. So let's go over to the US side. Excuse me. Let's go look at the Dow futures. Remember, on the left hand side is basically the daily time frame. On the right hand side is basically the weekly time frame. Really doing nothing on the Dow futures at all right now. We're basically just consolidating in the cloud right now between these two levels at 11,199 and 12,236 for these Dow futures. Nothing really going on here. If you look here, we're kind of at the resistance level here right now. This thing's do or die. This thing's got to start making a movement now, otherwise this thing's going to sink. So it's going to be critical the next 2 to 3 weeks moving forward and see exactly what happens. But the Dow does have a potential of going up and retesting these pivot highs over here if it can break that level, but it's got to break this level to see that. Okay, and you never know with everything that's going on with Europe. If you look at the ES, which is the S&P mini futures, you can see it's not at the top of the cloud at all. It's in the cloud right now. Really nothing going on as far as things are concerned. Key resistance level is going to be 1306 as always, which it hasn't even approached yet. So you could see that this thing's going weaker and weaker and weaker. Even though it's bullish, it's just getting weaker and weaker and weaker as time goes on. So that's not good at all. So it's getting a tightening consolidation pattern. Sooner or later, this thing's going to break. But it looks more towards the bearish side than the bullish side right now as for the ES is concerned. For the NASDAQ and Q, you could see it's not at the top of the cloud either. Top of the cloud over here is 2319, so that's a major resistance level there. Support level is going to be 2203, and you could see on the daily time frame this is in the cloud, so basically means consolidating. So the daily is not even sitting there strong at all. So right now, if you look at the strongest levels, it's pretty much the Dow, then comes the S&P, and comes the NASDAQ moving forward. And then you got the Russell, which if you look at it, it's above the cloud as far as the daily is concerned, but just entering the cloud here. So it's got a big, all these resistance levels it's got to meet and to the huge side. So this is going to be, excuse me, having a hard time trying to even go bullish at all. So I definitely wouldn't even look at this one for bullish side. So definitely stick to, if you're going to go anything long, stick with going long on the Dow stocks. And if you're going to go short, probably stick with either the NASDAQ or the S&P 500s. But I definitely would stick more towards the S&P 500s than the NASDAQ because you never know with technology moving forward. That's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next week.